thanks to my prints.
Pizzazz can be pricey.
Well, now at Staples, you get up to 30% off select HP printers.
30% off an HP?
Yeah, I saved $120 on an HP Smart Tank 6001 with up to 3 years of ink included.
Why, that could be the last printer you'll ever need.
Could be.
Shop your local Staples today for big savings on HP.
That was easy.
Available in-store, online, or on the app. It's 4 exclusions.
Hi, this is Tina Fox at the Rutherford Farmers Co-op. Please come see us for all your cold weather needs. We have a great selection of Carhartt clothing to keep you warm, and as always, our warm muck boots to keep your feet warm. We have anything you would need to keep yourself warm or your animals warm. Please come see us. And if you're trying to feed your feathered friends through the cold months, we also have a wide selection of birdseed. That's the Co-op Farm and Home Center on Middle Tennessee Boulevard, just off of South Church.
When it comes to your child's health,
you want care that's close, convenient,
and centered around the needs of your family.
At MMC Pediatrics, we're more than just doctors.
We're partners in your parenting journey.
Here for every growth spurt,
for every boo-boo,
every fever, and every flu.
Our team approach means that your child always sees someone that knows them.
We are MMC Pediatrics.
We are right beside you
every step of the way.
101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, audio and video streaming at wgnsradio.com. This is the Roundtable. A look at the news, views, politics, and people that are shaping Rutherford County.
Good morning. This is Bill Krause, Thursday morning edition, WGNS Radio Roundtable, and on a beautiful day. Again, this weather is becoming erratic. It's supposed to be very warm. In fact, may even break a record today. And then we get cold. So, planning events and activities, weddings and other events and so forth, you really got to play by plan A and plan B. We're very, very pleased to have this morning initially a colleague, dear friend, a man who I have the highest respect and regard for as a longtime member of the faculty at Motlow State Community College in the Smyrna campus, and a gentleman who I want to have him introduce himself and tell us how he has come to this point, and then actually introduce his two lovely lady guests. So it's my pleasure to say good morning to Professor Charles Whiting, Associate Professor.
Yes, that's
Associate
correct.
Professor of Communications. And so, Chuck, you don't mind me calling you Chuck?
Oh, please do. That's definitely my nickname.
So long as I don't call you Chuck Roast.
Well, I've been called that.
Have you really? Oh, you're not.
I've been called a lot of things.
Just don't be called late for lunch.
Yeah.
Chuck, start on. Tell us where the Chuck Whiting began and the years, the journey, the travels that you have followed to be with us today.
Well, thank you so much. I'm delighted to be here, and Dr. Krause, it's just feel so privileged to know you. And we all work together at Motlow. We are a team, and I think that our students have had an opportunity to see that. And so being here on the radio station to talk a little bit about Motlow and all the different things we're doing means a lot. My career actually started after college. I was a police reporter for a newspaper in my hometown of Mobile.
Oh, Alabama.
Yes, down in Alabama on the Gulf
down
Coast.
There too.
Yeah, I wrote a lot of stories about that
area.
at the time. But after that...
So you weren't stationary, you were mobile.
Mobile, I went back to my hometown after college. All right. And so pursued a job at the newspaper.
Sometimes the humor doesn't go too far, yes. All right. So you started in Mobile. Were you born in Alabama?
I was not. I was born in North Carolina, but moved to Mobile when I was a child.
Okay.
And so Mobile essentially is my hometown, and so I can say I'm a native of Mobile in Alabama. But that's where I started as far as communication goes. So I have some experience as a newspaper reporter in journalism, and then moved from there earned a master's at the University of Alabama, and then a music degree at the University of Alabama, Birmingham. So I've kind of combined both.
What do you play?
Actually write music and compose on piano.
Wow.
Which I do as a sideline. I love doing that. And that sometimes plays into some of the things we talk about in communication because, as you know, communication, we communicate in so many different ways.
And you've composed?
I have, yes.
And a top 10?
Well, I can't say that
Not
I've had a top 10.
Never give up.
But I have had a Christmas song in the top 60.
Wow. Well,
which not everybody gets to have that. So I'm pretty excited.
It's so interesting you mentioned that, going way, way back in history. When I was in high school, we lived, most of my life before we moved to Tennessee in Southern California. But in high school, my parents operated a resort in Banning, California, which is about 90 miles east of Los Angeles, 22 miles above Palm Springs. And it was an old resort, and we were going through some old papers one day, and we found a story about a gentleman who had stayed at Briargate Lodge, which is what it was called, many years before. And Briargate Lodge in Banning is located between the two highest mountains in California, San Gorgonio and San Jacinto. And he was sitting out in the front porch on a chair, and he was looking in December. He was looking at the two mountains, both of them snow-capped, because they were all 10, 11,000 square feet, or not square feet, high. And he decided to write a song. And he looked and he started writing, "I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, just like the one I used to know." And Irving Berlin had actually written White Christmas in that area. Introduce these two lovely ladies. I'm going to have you introduced because you've worked with them, you know them. They're certainly among the many stars that are within the endeavors that you're involved in, Chuck. Introduce them and a little bit about them. And they may tell us about themselves, too.
Yeah, I hope so. We have a club on campus called the Smyrna Entertainment Arts and Media Club. It is for students, run by students. And we've had an outstanding president who will be leaving us for MTSU. We're actually not very happy she's leaving, but we're very happy for her, Amber Powell. And
maybe she can start a second degree.
Yeah.
At Smyrna.
Yeah, perhaps so, or return to teach one day. We would love to see that. But she's done a remarkable job. We have a number of different events, and of course she can allude to that when she talks a little bit about Seam Club. Like, for instance, tomorrow we have a field trip to Cheekwood.
Oh, really?
But she will be leading.
Wow.
So and that was her suggestion. And then we have other events coming up as well.
Super. Are they going to give you a personalized tour with your team of the old house and at Cheekwood?
It'll be self-guided tour.
Oh, okay.
So, which is great because the students love to kind of spread out and discover an adventure on their own when we go on these trips.
Only problem is I hope none of them have any serious allergies. If there's ever a time for the allergies to go bonkers, the time is now with all the blossoming at Cheekwood.
Yes, everything's in bloom right now, so pollen will definitely be in the air.
Well, Amber, talk about yourself, where you were born, your journey to where you are right now.
Okay, so I'm actually a Bell Buckle native. I was raised and born there out in the country, and I have a very special place in my heart for the historic town of Bell Buckle. And as a Motlow student, I'm not a traditional student. I graduated high school back in 2011.
Good
so
for you.
It's been many years since I've been in a school setting, so it was a big leap to decide to go into Motlow and go back to my education and stuff.
Was it hard to get acclimated back?
It wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be, which was wonderful. I think because I always enjoyed education and stuff, and learning that it wasn't too hard to jump back in. Now, I was initially worried that I wouldn't be able to keep up the grades and everything. Sure. But by the second semester, I had entered the honors program. So I was very proud of myself that I was able to accomplish that.
And you might add, you have a hubby and 3 little ones.
I do. So I've actually been with my high school sweetheart for 16 years.
Really?
So we have officially been together half of our lives. We got together when we were 16. So.
And when you have your 70th anniversary, you can go back to your high school era.
Yeah.
That is fantastic. Well, you know what's going to be so inspiring is when you graduate, whether it's on your AA degree at Mount Low or your bachelor's at MTSU, wherever else it may be, the impact of you in cap and gown for your children will be more inspirational than any of us ever imagined. For a child to see their parent, their mother or their father or their grandparent. We had a case of a grandparent at Mount Low who was in her 80s graduating, and she had her whole family present at graduation just so she said, I want those little ones to get the appreciation of education.
I love that. Yes, that's definitely a big motivation for me, is to show my kids, no matter what stage of life you're in, you can still achieve anything. You can still go after any goal.
You want to give a shout out with names to your 3?
Yes, there's my oldest, which is Eli Ward. He's 13.
Then I love that name, Eli.
Yeah.
That's great. Eli, and she tells the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then there's my second, who's 12, Liv Ward. And then my itty bitty one, who's 3 years old, Ophelia Ward.
Wonderful.
Beautiful names. All right. Do you want to introduce her colleague?
Yes.
I'm having you do this because you put such special personal feeling to it, since these are part of your team.
Well, I'm very proud of them.
Oh, you have the right to be.
Absolutely. Ashley Torres, who is actually the editor of the student publication on the Smyrna campus, the Motlow Smyrna campus, and it's called the Motlow Buzz. And Ashley has been and more or less redeveloping the newspaper, and we have the platform is both the physical printed version, which we're building, and then also we have the online aspects of that. So I will turn it over to Ashley to talk a little bit about what you do.
And you were born where?
I was born in Caracas, Venezuela.
There's a large segment of people in Rutherford County who came from Venezuela, a large community.
Yes. I just left journalism, so when I first came to Motlow, one of the first things I wanted to find out is if they had a student newspaper. And I was lucky enough to be in his class, and I asked him, and that's how I joined. And I've been really, really fortunate to have been working with him.
Oh,
yeah,
absolutely.
And you'll be taking this on for another year because we have you.
You're not failing her, so you keep her.
No, we're gonna hold on to her as long as possible.
Now there's a strategy that I would hope.
No, we won't do that.
No. I was remembering the earlier publication, and I remember the young lady Emma. You remember Emma was the editor? Now this is going back.
Well, that was
years.
well before our time.
Oh, okay.
So that's something you can educate us on.
I'll have to put my memory cap on. And so, what do you want to do with the education in the world of communications? You want to be an investigative reporter, stick a mic in people's faces?
I like more of the political aspect of journalism.
Wow.
I really enjoy it. And after getting my bachelor's degree, I would like to go to law school, specifically study immigration law.
That's exactly what my oldest granddaughter is. But let me say, there's a huge opportunity to have your law degree and be in communications law. And the world of social media and the legislation to attempt to control it, we're certainly seeing what's coming out of Washington now in the hearings. And you go back to the FCC and the granting of radio and television licenses in 1935, and you begin to say, will the federal government be issuing licenses to social media platforms as they have done for radio and TV? And by issuing licenses, they have a regulatory ability to say what goes on and what doesn't go on. The First Amendment, freedom of speech, in terms of an attorney, not taking away from what direction you're going on, but communications law. I mean, radio and TV stations, social media platforms would be so hungry to have a attorney like you.
I did not know about that. That sounds really interesting.
Oh, I mean, I just think it's A plus B equals C. Well, the one point we always say this, and Chuck does it also to his students, and our friends and colleagues at Motlow do it. Part of the purpose of college is to put your toe in the water, test it, and if you like it, pursue it. If you don't like it, pursue an alternative. The average individual changes jobs or professions 3 times or 4 times in a lifetime. So, you begin to say, well, I like law, yes, immigration law, but maybe communications law might be really a neat one. I do have to ask you a loaded question. I promised you I wouldn't, but a loaded question would be, you're interested in communications, and especially from the political standpoint. Difficult question. How does a journalist maintain objectivity in their collecting of data and reporting of data to the public? Or do they subtly express their opinion, even if it's facial rather than verbal, when they're on television, for example? Can you detect how a news announcer, a news anchor, is really thinking of the topic? Does a journalist, or when you write, this would be really good. When you write and you're writing about something related to Motlow, are you going beyond the who, what, where, why, and when? And you're specifically saying, that's a phenomenal event and activity that we had last year, and now I want to promote it here. So do you show any type of bias in what you write?
I like to start off always with an unbiased standpoint, and then maybe given a little bit of what I personally think. However, I think it depends on what I'm reporting or what I'm writing about. Where I grew up, a lot of the news that came out were very biased, and that causes harm because a biased opinion is not a statement and it's not a fact. So I just try to give a little bit of an unbiased standpoint at first, and then maybe given a little bit of what I personally believe might be right, but I don't think it's not me saying that I'm correct or not.
When you write that first paragraph, and this is always lesson number 1 in news reporting, news writing, to what degree do you unload all opportunities to do a real blast in order to get the attention of the reader, or in terms of radio, TV, the listener, the viewer? For example, if you are doing a TV news attractive headline, you may say, dog bites man, details at 10. Well, nobody's going to wake up out of the couch. On the other hand, you say, man bites dog, details at 10. And then suddenly says, I want to hear that story, Right. So do you look for a little twist? And believe it or not, a lot of publications, somebody else writes the headlines rather than the content. And they write the headlines in order to, quote, put a different spin on it. Before we go on to your 2 events and activities, Chuck, talk about and I like to call it your radio station.
Yeah, we would love to be referred as a radio station. Yeah. It's a playoff of The Buzz. We've had The Buzz publication since I arrived at Motlow, Smyrna. But now we have, we'll call it Buzz Radio. And essentially what it is, it's a podcast. We're developing a podcast, and we'll have some vidcast aspects as well as we continue to build the studio. Our philosophy is to develop something that our students can learn, gain insight from, that in turn will help them land some terrific jobs that are out there, and they want to be on the cutting edge. And nowadays podcasting is huge.
Sure.
And then we also have to look at MTSU and other universities. MTSU has a phenomenal media center. that covers just about anything you can imagine. What we're developing is going to be much smaller, and yet we want it to reflect the various hands-on, high-impact practices that are utilized over at MTSU. And so we've landed a grant, and it's a Success and Innovation grant. We're thrilled. And now we're...
Is it a government grant or a private corporation?
It came through the state.
Oh, okay.
It's an opportunity, TBR, is what they call it. And so we are absolutely thrilled to receive this. And what we'll do is, over the next month or so, we're going to complete our purchases of equipment to really make this state-of-the-art. And make it available to not only our students and our faculty members, but WGNS.
We'll give a shout out that Brian Barrett, has been a good resource for you.
He's been a confidant.
Okay, good. You
He's
hear
been
that, Brian?
great.
Yep.
So we're thrilled about it.
Excellent. When do you have an anticipated date that you'll be on the air?
We would love to launch in the fall, and we keep saying, we're going to launch in the spring, or we're going to launch in the fall, but we are getting very, very close now that the equipment's arriving.
Where's your studio within the campus?
We are, that particular studio is located next door to our Mac lab, which makes complete sense because students can sort of use the Mac lab as a newsroom. And then we can go in and we can record in the studio, and that's on the second floor of the newest building on the Montlow Smyrna campus, the HSC building.
Right. Do you see hours expanding? Do you ultimately see a 10, 12-hour podcasting per day if it suddenly catches on fire?
Eventually that could happen. Right now we're looking for full days for the most part.
Exactly.
And what we'll do is we will assign out use of the studio at different times to students and faculty members during the week.
Do you, let me ask this. Is Smyrna the only campus within the Montlow system that has this, or main campus?
Well, they down at the main campus in Tullahoma, of course, that's the base for their media operations. Now, how much students are involved with that, I'm not down there, so I'm not absolutely certain on it, but I know that they have reached out to students to get involved in different ways. What we're doing is a bit different, and I imagine that this could also happen on the other campuses. We have several campuses, as you know. But what we're doing is kind of like, and I was thinking about this morning, is Interstate 24 more or less connects Montlow Smyrna and MTSU. And I was thinking Nashville to MTSU with a spur to Montlow.
Yep.
And so Montlow can essentially be a pathway. And so the media studio can serve as sort of like part of that pathway in communications.
Amber, talk a little bit about the entertainment program that you have and some of the activities. When I first saw the information and it led off with the word entertainment, I thought, wow, now does that target Middle Tennessee much more than radio, television, social media, and what have you? Because we are an entertainment capital in many cases, among many within the United States, not only in terms of, quote, programs and entertainers and clubs and events. So talk about your group.
All right, so I am president of Montlow's Smyrna Smyrna Entertainment, Arts, and Media Club. We call it SEAM, so I don't have to say the mouthful every single time. So it's called SEAM Club.
SEAM?
Yeah, SEAM, SEAM Club, yes.
Just like something on a dress.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, all right.
Exactly.
I hadn't thought of that.
So it incorporates a lot of different media, and as you know, like media takes all different forms, whether it be music, whether it be art, whether it be performances and stuff. So this club encompasses a lot of those things, and therefore it garners a lot of interest from a lot of different students of all different majors and walks of life and stuff. So I'm a history major, but one of the things that really got me interested in history as a child and growing up, and what made me want to get into archaeology, were the historical documentary programs on television, and even video games.
PBS.
Yes, yes. So, and back when History Channel was wasn't taken over by Ancient Aliens, so
right.
I used to love that as a kid, and also video games that had anything to do with ancient cultures and movies and stuff. So entertainment has always been a great influence in my life, and I've been involved in theater, and I've been a musician, and so
what do you play?
I played guitar, and I also played trombone for a long time as well.
Did you ever hit somebody with the trombone?
Of course I did. How could you not? So.
I know.
So, so when I joined, started going to Motlow, I saw SEAM Club, and I thought, oh, what a perfect place for me to go to try and get more involved on campus and everything. So it was 2024, I believe, fall of 2024, and I joined SEAM Club. And by that next semester, I became vice president. And then this past semester, I was voted as president. So
Excellent.
It's been fantastic. And we do a lot of different things with SEAM Club, whether we're all gathering together for a casual, laid-back hangout where we decide on a topic, like we call it letting off steam with SEAM.
You bring your guitar?
No, I do not. I'm a little rusty.
Don't bring the trombone, that may hit the
Yeah. I'm a little rusty on that. But we usually pick a topic to discuss. The last topic, we all discussed our favorite TV shows and different aspects of it. Let me try to remember. Oh, it was Bridgerton on Netflix.
Oh, okay.
And that kind of plays into things because it's historical fiction. So, of course, it really reflected the interest that I have and stuff. So it was fantastic because we talked about all the different aspects of the show that make them so great and why we liked them and stuff. So it was really great for the students to get together and really bond and stuff to make connections with one another.
Phenomenal. Kind of interesting of your reference to history, and that reference basically is, and this is quote one of my bias observations, young men and women do not place the study and knowledge of history way up on top of the agenda. If it's over 5 years old, it's got to be in the world of the dinosaur. So I totally appreciate that if you can create a pathway for young men and young women to not only appreciate and respect the past of history, but some of the things that come out of history, you said, boy, that could be very applicable today. So significantly. We're going to be right back with the comment on the buzz. Want to hear more about the buzz? Want to hear how you develop stories, how you identify, how you build readership, and that people are reading it. But first, a word from one or two of our sponsors.
This message brought to you by the Central Tennessee Regional Solid Waste Planning Board. Visit recyclerightTN.com for tips, ideas, and locations on where to recycle near you. That's recyclerightTN.com.
Recycle right, it's all on you. Don't be trashy, recycle classy, recycle right, Tennessee.
Go to recyclerightTN.com.
Recycle right, Tennessee.
When it comes to your child's health,
you want care that's close, convenient,
and centered around the needs of your family.
At MMC Pediatrics, we're more than just doctors.
We're partners in your parenting journey.
Here for every growth spurt,
for every boo-boo,
every fever, and every flu.
Our team approach means that your child always sees someone that knows them.
We are MMC Pediatrics.
We are right beside you
every step of the way.
What's the location of your emergency? I think my kid OD'd.
Hi, I'm Craig Harris. I'm County Commissioner of Rutherford County. One of the reasons I ran for office is because I wanted to bring awareness to the opioid epidemic that's impacting our county. To stop providing this epidemic with people as we educate. We have a lot to do, and we have to come together as a community because this problem is not going away.
takes all of us to power a community, both in plain sight and behind the scenes. Middle Tennessee Electric, bringing good energy.
Lace up your best kicks for a night of impact benefiting First Shot. Join us for the annual Sneaker Ball, presented by Venture Express. Spend Sunday, April 26th with NFL Hall of Famer and Super Bowl MVP Marcus Allen. The event kicks off at 6 with a VIP meet and greet at 5. Reserve your table today. Call Coach Andy Herzer at 615-631-5312. We'll see you at the Sneaker Ball, benefiting First Shot on April 26th.
This is Good Neighbor Events with Bart Walker. Brought to you by AmeriCare Pest Control and the law offices of John Day.
This is a paid legal ad.
Hi, this is John Day of the Law Offices of John Day. My team and I have worked hard to help injured people throughout Middle Tennessee. We've helped thousands of people get the legal help they need when they've needed it the most. And if we're not able to help or aren't the right lawyer for you, we'll do the best to point you in the right direction. If you've been injured, call the law offices of John Day for a free consultation. And remember, there's no fee unless we win your case.
Now, Good Neighbor Events. Here's Bart Walker.
Borough Art Crawls are back in Uptown Murfreesboro on the first Friday night of each month, 5 until 8 in the evening, on the historic Murfreesboro Square. Give the gift of life. Give blood at the Red Cross. Phone the Red Cross at 800-RED-CROSS and make an appointment to give blood at a time that fits your schedule. Don't miss the underwater Easter egg hunt this Saturday morning at 9 at the Patterson Community Center. For information, phone the Patterson Community Center, 615-895-5040. Are you registered to vote? This is an election year. And if you just moved to town and haven't registered, head over to the Election Commission on the south side of the Murfreesboro Square and register to vote. Don't throw away Old Glory. Bring your tattered American flags to WGNS and let the girls from BSA Troop 2019 at Trinity United Methodist Church retire it with dignity. Plus, we also recycle Bibles. Those are WGNS Good Neighbor events.
Rutherford weather.
Sunshine expected today with daytime highs approaching 85. Lows level off around 62. Tonight, clear skies. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki on News Radio WGNS. Currently, it's 66 degrees.
WGNS is powered by Middle Tennessee Electric. Sharing Change has donated now over $12 million to local nonprofits. Find out how your spare change can make a big impact at sharingchange.org.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna. Listen and watch at wgnsradio.com.
This is Bill Krause, return Chapter 2 of the WGNS Radio Roundtable, Thursday morning edition in beautiful downtown Murfreesboro. And we're having a delightful visit with a dear friend, a gentleman who's been with Motlow State in a full-time position as a faculty member over 10 years, has a great record and history and experience in the entire communication field, and is highly loved by his students. I hear all about Chuck Whiting on a regular basis, and I said, who is this guy with the neat hat? That's his trademark, his neat hat. So Chuck Whiting is here, and he brought two of his, I could probably say this without getting in trouble, two of his best students. Can I say that?
Two of the very, very best that I work with.
Okay, there you are.
Yeah.
And it's Amber Powell and Ashley Torres. I want to talk about writing, putting together a news publication, putting together a something that you hope people read, and you always identify when you're having people read versus watch it on television or listen on the radio. You ask yourself, who is my reader? Who is taking the time to look at it? Are they doing it as a deliberate action, Do they go into the system and they're going to specifically read it, or is it just a catch as they're doing other things? So when you think, now I'm assuming you create the stories, you're thinking of what you want to cover,
yes.
rather than just events and activities.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you like to, well, what are your strategies and techniques to identify what would make a good story?
I usually start making a list,
Okay.
and I think of stories that I would like to read if I was a student and I would find interesting. And I give it a mix of both information that's going on campus and also current events that I think other students would find interesting. And from there, I usually just pick one from the list that sounds good at the moment, and I just start writing.
Wow. You know, it was interesting before the last building was under construction, the 3-story newest building at Motlow. They had a rendering of it, and I suggested to Emma, was the editor at the time, I said, you ought to take a picture of the water tower, take a picture of the rendering, take a picture of the second building, which was 2-story, and take a picture of the first story. And you show the steps to success of Motlow. Because your original building, 1 story, your second building, 2 stories, your third building, 3 stories, and that water tower is awfully tall. And recently, both Motlow and MTSU were painted on the tower as Smyrna being a home of it. Do you, for example, with all the development and activity in and around Motlow, and we had 2 members of the town council on last Thursday, or 2 Thursdays ago. We were preempted for basketball last week. Do you see what's happening around the Smyrna campus to have a real impact on student living, student attendance, students' ability to find restaurants? You see great things coming out of it.
I definitely do. I think it's been growing a lot, and it brings a lot of students in with different backgrounds and different interests, and I think that's what makes it wonderful, which is one of the parts that I love about journalism, that it can bring people together even if you essentially have nothing in common. But yeah, I think all of the developments around the Motlow area have been helping bring in a lot of students from everywhere, pretty much.
Yes. And you know, one thing nice, many things nice about Motlow, Smyrna, but one thing nice, despite the growth, despite the enrollment, parking is still not an issue. And I always hate to say, on the other hand, if you're going to MTSU, and when I taught there, I learned pretty quickly when the department secretary would say, well, here's a schedule of classes that we need to be assigning faculty. Which do you want? Of course, the first time I was there, I loved a 10 a.m. class. You can have your extra cup of coffee in the morning, leisurely drive. And then it dawned on me, but 10 a.m., the parking lots, all the parking lots are full and full and fuller. And I can remember having to walk a mile and a quarter, mile and a half to the Peck building to be able to teach. So I quickly changed my strategy, and I said, give me a 8 a.m. class, you know, and the students aren't awake quite yet, and we'll do stretch exercises, and they can yawn 5 times without getting knocked down and what have you, and drove into class. Wonderful. No parking issue. So, you know, Motlow has so many fine advantages. How do you and as I say, I read you guys continually. And the one thing that I read, and I've got to ask you this, how many students do you think will take the time to read? Because you have a certain insight within your writing that despite the fact that Motlow is a commuter college, people don't live in dorms, they don't live in frat sorority houses, they're commuting from somewhere else. To give a sense of community in your writing, you do a sense of community in your writing that to me is sensational. And I guess I'm curious, is it A, read, B, is it appreciated, and C, how do you expand it?
I like to think that it is read. I had people come up to me and tell me that they enjoy the newspaper, and it does give them a sense of community because it makes them feel that we are a group of people together here in Motlow, even though we're a commuter college. In high school, I did the newspaper, and then I was a student.
Which high school did you go to?
I went to Blackman High School.
Oh, right here in Murfreesboro.
Yeah.
Okay.
And my last year, I was a student editor-in-chief, and it was a rewarding experience because I got to meet some of the most wonderful people, and it really brings people together. So whenever I write any story, I want people to feel like there's community, because I feel like that's what just the humans yearn in general, just community, and they want to feel like they're a part of something.
Well, you know, as you mentioned that, I'm thinking, because I have to do certainly research here to be able to ask you the, quote, hopefully interesting questions, but I would hope that you could take people, and I think you've done it, but I think it's a great potential, leadership people within the college, and not just say the who, what, where, why, and when of them, but something unique. And I think probably the most interesting thing I've learned about our president at Motlow, Dr. Torrance, and I asked him this on the air. I said, you always wore a bow tie. Always wears a bow tie. You know, you'd see that in earlier American history. In fact, bow ties were much easier to put on. You just snap, or tie them versus having to do a regular tie on your own effort. And I said, what got you into a bow tie? And I'm sure he won't mind me repeating this because he said it on the air. He said he was raised in Richmond, Virginia. And Richmond, Virginia had a very strict social chemistry, if you may. And his uncle taught him as a little boy, his uncle said, if you want to be successful in life, always be the best dressed, well dressed, and wear a bow tie. Cool. So he wears that bow tie as a result of his uncle's recommendation. And I've never seen him in anything else. So I think that's stuff like that. And if students get to see that, that's so cool.
I love it when he drops by and he'll just drop in when we're teaching. Has he ever dropped in to one of your classes?
Oh, I've had that many at the.
And I so enjoy that.
Oh, yeah, he's quite a neat individual. Well, we've had very fortunate leadership within Rutherford County, both at Motlow and MTSU, and I personally am going to miss the retiring president of MTSU, who will be leaving the end of December.
Yes.
He was on maybe 4 weeks ago on the air. He comes about every 3 months. If you were to create a magic wand to make the ideal media outlet that is not only enjoyed by the most, and when you look at ratings on radio, ratings on television, even ratings on newspapers, is it the numbers that you want, or is it the in-depth quality that you want?
I would say the quality. I think I'm content with having at least 5 people read it, but truly enjoy the content in it. And we can create a conversation from there, than just have tons of people read it and not have any in-depth quality in there.
Chuck, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm going to put you on the test. What is the percentage, rough percentage, of people who read a news article, magazine article, but they never get beyond the first paragraph?
Yeah, that's one of the challenges that we run into. And speaking of openings of stories or articles, you want to have that hook or that theme presented right away. Because we're all in such a hurry.
Oh, yeah.
And because of the emergence of social media, and you think about X, and you think about Facebook, Instagram, and all the other platforms that are out there, LinkedIn, is that we're all in a big hurry. So everyone's writing quickly, and they're posting things and sharing information, and we're all responding to that very quickly. Exactly. And it's what's really unusual in our day and age. we have less time than we've ever had.
Oh, no question. And we have more things challenging that time.
So our goal is to just knock it through the park and let people know what we're writing about, or whatever the podcast might be. You have to introduce it really, really well. And if that piques the interest of the reader or the listener, then you've got them hooked. You know, that's what you hope. So that opening paragraph, that opening or whatever it is critical.
Do you know how you could really expand your listening audience on the podcast? A faculty member comes in, and it's only the podcast that does it, and he or she gives hints what's going to be on the upcoming final exam. Not the answers, but saying, you know, I only give this inside shared information on the Motlow podcast. So you're going to start getting people to listen. Oh, you know, what's the secret hint? You know, not a test of 2 + 2 = 4, but a test. Please write about causes and effect. And please write about long-term and short-term implications. Tips. Yeah. And so forth. But that are directly related to the exam. No question. No question. Going back to the whole area of entertainment. Do you have, or do you see, linkage or partnerships or relationships occurring between the entertainment program and the outside community? Can you see, for example, a senior citizen talent show? I mean, Chuck puts on phenomenal talent shows every year at main campus. Problem is, they usually conflict with the class I have. So I miss the entertainment.
That means you can't perform on it.
Oh, I know. That's the reason for it. You know, Wild Willie doesn't need a venue.
We need you on the stage.
Oh, absolutely. The first one out of town. That joke is older than I am. So, do you see linkages once you're on with the podcast with the local community groups that may want to create a relationship with Motlow?
Oh, sure. Yeah. In fact, we have a famous communicator speaker series, and we bring in just very accomplished individuals from the music industry, but also from the film world, some who are authors, some even visual artists have come in. And so we have a strong connection with very talented people, and we want to build out from that.
Yes.
Because one of the goals of any podcast or anything that you do in higher education is not only to inspire and build dreams, but also to help people grow. And so if we can provide that forum, that opportunity to instill that insight, it's worth every minute that we put into it.
Kind of walk us through of there's no such thing as an average or typical day in the world of a podcast, but let's take a sample day and somebody tunes in and explain even the tuning in, how you access it, and walk us through, as somebody who's never listened to a podcast before, they ultimately can get to the podcast, and what do you want them to take out of it?
Okay, well, we're developing this for now on YouTube, which is accessible essentially to everyone. We're looking for free and accessible platforms. So what we're doing is we have What's the Buzz podcast. And these are interviews with students and faculty members.
So that ties in with the paper. The buzz?
Yes.
What's the buzz?
Definitely.
Of course, sure.
Everything will synergize.
Relate together.
Yeah, relate with each other. And so we build from there. And so there is a possibility that as we move forward, we're going to not only have exposure locally, but even internationally. And that's because we're on an international platform. So the possibilities are, just wide open for that.
Do you think, can you think of an example that it might pin off? Like a former Motlow student who's now living in another part of the world that they communicated with? Are you looking for program creation remotely or listener creation locally? or internationally?
Well, actually, a teacher reached out to me from Argentina not too long ago, because we're also developing our Instagram, which provides some messaging between ourselves here and others in other parts of the world. And he reached out and asked if I would like to come on his program to answer questions about the English language and communication in general. And so those kinds of connections also can build into Motlow Smyrna. That's my goal.
Sure.
And I would also love to have some of the connections that we're making participate maybe on some Zoom programming, or maybe on some of these podcasts that we do, because it's a way for students to learn and grow and interact. And we can find out. We're now in a setting where it's not just local. It's not just local, regional, and national. It's now international. And that is so exciting.
Before we take this break, our last break, you know, we have every so often on the Roundtable merchants, business people from downtown Murfreesboro. And invariably, of the two visitors we have from downtown, they're restaurant owners. And, you know, almost somebody passing a hint. If you hear this hint, you can get this delicious roast beef Swiss cheese sandwich for half price, and just put little secrets in there. We'll be right back. Another word from our sponsor that pays the bills.
When it comes to your child's health,
you want care that's close, convenient,
and centered around the needs of your family.
At MMC Pediatrics, we're more than just doctors.
We're partners in your parenting journey.
Here for every growth spurt,
for every boo-boo,
every fever, and every flu.
Our team approach means that your child always sees someone that knows them.
We are MMC Pediatrics.
We are right beside you
every step of the way.
What's the location of your emergency? I think my kid OD'd.
Hi, I'm Craig Harris. I'm County Commissioner of Rutherford County. One of the reasons I ran for office is because I wanted to bring awareness to the opioid epidemic that's impacting our county. To stop providing this epidemic with people as we educate. We have a lot to do, and we have to come together as a community, because this problem's not going away.
If I had to rate the office of John Day,
I would definitely give him a 5-star rating.
a 20 stars.
Probably like 100 stars. John Day's office was wonderful.
They are caring.
Call the law offices of John Day.
I would recommend them to everyone.
Over 1,000 times a year, a lawyer refers someone who needs help in a personal injury or wrongful death case to us, because we treat every referral in a timely, professional way. Trust the lawyers other lawyers trust. Trust the law offices of John Day.
Lace up your best kicks for a night of impact benefiting First Shot. Join us for the annual Sneaker Ball presented by Venture Express. Spend Sunday, April 26th with NFL Hall of Famer and Super Bowl MVP Marcus Allen. The event kicks off at 6 with a VIP meet and greet at 5. Reserve your table today. Call Coach Andy Herzer at 615-631-5312. We'll see you at the Sneaker Ball benefiting First Shot on April 26th.
Hey folks, it's Chip Walters from Exit Realty Bob Lamb & Associates, helping Middle Tennessee make smart moves in a fast-moving market. Whether you're buying, selling, or just exploring your options, you deserve someone who knows this community and treats your goals like their own. From first-timers to long-time homeowners, I'm here to guide you with clarity, confidence, and a steady hand. When you're ready to make the next move, start with someone you trust. Visit choosechip.net and let's make your 2026 move the right move.
Local farmers, local meats, vegetables, and other produce at the Winter Spring Rutherford County Farmers Market.
Every Friday at Lane Agri Park.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna. Listen and watch at wgnsradio.com.
Bill Krause in the concluding moments of the Thursday morning roundtable of WGNS Radio, beautiful downtown Murfreesboro. Ladies, tell us what's up and coming at Motlow that you're publicizing, that you're telling the world about.
Okay, so SEAM Club is helping put on our speech contest. It's an annual speech contest, and it hops around from campus to campus within Motlow. And this year, it is being hosted by the Smyrna campus.
Great.
And that's going to be happening on April 14th. And it's a wonderful opportunity for students to really show their communication skills and really try to see if they can win and stuff. It's like, I always love a good competition. So
Sure.
Well, they don't realize, and again, I'm very biased to this, is that written and verbal communication skills are perhaps the bookends of success. Not only success professionally, success of life.
Amen.
So I
Absolutely.
love speech contests. And I like to watch not just whether they memorized, I hope they don't. I'm very much opposed to memorizing speeches, but the ability to be creative, the ability to not only capture the interest of the audience, but keep the interest of the audience.
absolutely.
Do you have all different categories of the speech contest?
So I believe it's a persuasive speech that
correct.
everybody is going to be writing, and you can pick your own topic. I know that last year's winner, he wrote a persuasive speech based on nuclear energy and how with the scientific advancements that we've gone through, that it is a more viable option for energy now that energy is such a needed thing in our society. So he ended up winning with that speech, and so it was really wonderful, and he was a great speaker. It was great to listen to him. So yeah, it's all kinds of different topics that students can pick from, which is wonderful because there's so many varied interests and so many things to learn.
Sure.
Of course, I'm thinking as a political scientist, I'm thinking, boy, find a candidate who's running for re-election or new election in Rutherford County, sheriff or commissioner or city council, and meet with them, and then do a speech to try to persuade people to vote for them. And how would you reach out to a population? Now, you also have talent show coming up?
Yes. So we have an annual talent show.
You have your trombone ready?
No. Nobody needs to listen to that. I'm very rusty. So we have our annual talent show, which is an absolute fantastic time. Last year's talent show was such a hit. It's going to be happening at Smyrna campus on April 23rd. And with the talent show, it's so fascinating because we really have all different kinds of talents showcased. We have visual artists who bring their art in and give talks about their process and what inspires them. We have dancers, we have musicians, singers, we have storytellers. It's really all kinds of different forms of communication, media, entertainment, and it really brings the students together in a great, fantastic way, because there's nothing more that students love than to be entertained but also fed, because there will be free food.
Do you know what'd be nice too? See, I'm always sitting here thinking of ideas that Chuck can run on. You know, if you were to break them into companies of 4 or 5 in a company, and you made arrangements with a senior citizen residency, and you were able to put on a show of the top talent to seniors who would just love it. I mean, that would be an outreach, which would be phenomenal.
Yes.
And just could be really, just give you a good feeling in the heart. Well, Chuck and your lovely, lovely ladies, you know, I wasn't going to say, Chuck, you're the thorn between 2 roses.
That's probably the best way to describe it.
But we sure appreciate you being with us. It's always so inspiring.
Thank you.
Not just because of my affiliation for so long with Motlow, but to see, you know, anybody who reads and writes and talks about, well, where's our youth going today? We're losing hope. I can tell you that there's much more hope and goals and love and inspiration out there than we give credit to or realize. So I want to thank, of course, Charles Whiting, Associate Professor of Mass Communications at Motlow, Amber Powell, and Ashley Torres. You know, I almost would say, but we don't get political on here, almost would say it would be interesting to hear Ashley's comments about Venezuela, but we'll hold that for another day, right?
Yes. Yeah.
All righty. Keep up the great work. Just do super. We're proud of you. We thank you. We appreciate you. See you next week, my friends.
Thank you.
Thank you.
WGNS, Murfreesboro, Smyrna.
Premier 6 Theater on Broadway.
Provide you with personalized service and finding the best solutions for you and your family. Whether you're looking for auto, home, or business insurance, Rick Hall's got you covered. Rick Hall at Rayburn Insurance Agency. Let him handle the details so you can focus on what